Welcome to the latest episode of the Forecast in 5. I'm your host, Seth Katz. Joining us today is Candice Nakagawa. Candice serves as Western Region President with Wilmington Trust, where she oversees the development and coordination of wealth management services for high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals, families, and institutional investment accounts. Candice and her team work closely with clients and their advisors to develop financial strategies that help them meet their current needs and plan for their long-term objectives. Candice has over 2 decades of experience in financial services and previously held leadership roles with U.S. Bank and MUFG Union Bank. Welcome, Candice. Appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Seth. Happy to be here.
Well, let's get started with some questions. Wilmington Trust is a member of the M&T Bank family, which is one of the 15 largest U.S.-owned commercial banking holding companies. What makes Wilmington Trust distinctive as a firm that is committed to growing its presence in California and across the Western states?
Yes, we get that question a lot, Seth. Wilmington has been serving successful individuals and institutional clients since 1903, if you can believe that. We have roots dating back to the DuPont family, and we became a subsidiary of M&T Bank in 2011. And we've been internationally recognized with teams of experienced and highly skilled professionals who focus on delivering a high caliber of service to every client relationship. Our parent company, M&T, was founded in 1856, and it was really built upon the foundations of a community bank, but delivering the capabilities of a big bank with the care and empathy of a locally focused institution. The California presence itself was established about 24 years ago, and we originally served as, our ultra high net worth and family office hub for our clients who spent time on the West Coast. And as you know, I recently joined Wilmington Trust for the opportunity to grow this presence in the West and leveraging the reputation that we've built around the expertise and complexity. Our teams really are made up of, I mentioned earlier, seasoned and skilled professionals who work collaboratively to deliver neutral and impartial advice to execute on those strategies needed to achieve our clients' goals. So it's really meaningful work, and the firm is committed to the growth of our business. And we currently have presence in Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego, and we're actively establishing presence in other markets throughout the California state. So more to come.
Interesting. And it's just very interesting about that history. And
Yes.
That brings us to our next question. We're going to dive a little deeper in trying to a better understanding. It was founded in 1903 in Wilmington, Delaware, and Delaware often ranks as the number one most corporate-friendly state. And that gives Wilmington Trust and its clients an advantage. Can you tell our viewers a bit more about that Delaware connection?
Yes, absolutely. So headquartered in Delaware, that state is really, you mentioned, widely recognized for its well thought out body of trust laws. It was the first to pioneer many of the innovative trust laws and the infrastructure supporting personal trust in Delaware that you see today. Our teams really have an extensive knowledge of the state's favorable tax laws for personal trusts and business entities, many of whom have collaborated with professionals in Delaware and the financial and legal communities to help create those valuable estate planning and trust legislations in the state. A notable contribution that I wanted to point out is, our firm's active role in establishing the creation of the Delaware Dynasty Trust. And for those who are not familiar, it's a vehicle that enables individuals to pass their wealth onto their heirs in perpetuity with certain tax benefits. But in general, there are a variety of tax advantages in Delaware to provide those benefits, including asset protection and confidentiality, to name a few.
That's very helpful. So you spent your entire professional career in the banking industry as a wealth advisor, and you advanced into a senior executive capacity where you lead an entire region for a major firm. What do you believe are some of the qualities that one should possess to eventually want to advance into an executive leadership role like you have?
Well, it's been a journey, one with many twists and turns along the way. Hard work and resilience for one, and really learn the business and be curious along the way. Part of, the importance is also to find your purpose and what drives you. Without that, you won't be passionate about any of the work that you do. The other thing to consider is, are you willing to put the needs and success of your team ahead of your own interests? Which, it's a big question for most people. But, managing a client relationship is similar, but also very different in leading a high performing team with different personalities and work styles. So I found patience is key and non-negotiable in this role. But aside from the technical aspects of the industry, balancing the needs of the team to ensure that we are aligned and executing on our strategic vision while delivering on that commitment to the families that we serve can be challenging. So it's a balancing act, never a dull day.
All excellent points. Since we have many Anderson MBAs watching, can you share why a career in wealth management and private banking is a profession that one should strongly consider?
Well, many reasons to consider this industry, and I won't hold the Anderson MBA, against this group, but opportunity for one. There's still a growing demand for wealth advisors, and as you know, we're amid the largest generational wealth transfer in history. And that expectation is, about a fourth of that wealth in the U.S. is expected to transfer from older generations to the millennials and Gen Z by 2030. So we are hiring and actively exploring candidates in a variety of roles. So feel free to check us out. But, in addition to the opportunity, this industry has a diversity of career paths for people who want to explore wealth management. You can go anywhere into like portfolio management. You could do estate planning, private banking. There are so many avenues and options to consider, but, different paths as you continue to evolve as well in your career. I've seen many colleagues jump from being a private banker into a wealth advisor, perhaps a strategist, into a trust officer. So there are a variety of roles to explore. And lastly, this industry is deeply rewarding. The work that you do has a direct impact to the financial well-being and the futures of the generations for the families that we serve.
With the increased competition and ongoing changes that we're seeing within the wealth management and banking industry, where do you see the profession headed in the next decade?
Oh, yeah, lots of changes. There is an increased competition coming from fintech firms. These digital platforms are really intensifying the competition. They come up with lower fees, user-friendly services that are really drawing the younger, more tech-savvy clients away from the traditional firms. We also know that AI is revolutionizing our industry with predictive analytics and automated trading, to name a few. But most traditional firms, are really having a hard time keeping up pace with the new tech. And then, of course, the regulatory environment is ever present for us. The financial regulations continue to be complex, and they're applying pressure on all the firms to heavily invest in compliance programs to avoid penalties and, of course, reputational damage. But AI itself is adding its own set of regulatory concerns. But despite these challenges and the changes in our industry, I'm still bullish on the human-led advisory practice. Those that accept and integrate this technology into their practice will provide to remain valuable and relevant to clients. We are a relationship business, and that's the heart, right? The emotional side of making those major financial decisions often requires us talking through them, and the potential impacts, right, that these advisors are navigating after years of trust and relationship building. So, still very much a human-led practice at the moment. But, the role of the wealth advisor has really evolved since I started in this industry. And I know that it will continue to evolve with the integration of the new technology, changes in the regulatory environment. So it's a very exciting time to see all of these changes for us. And I hope this really inspires others to explore a career in wealth management.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Candice, thanks again for taking out some time to be with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me.
And thanks to all our viewers for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode of the Forecast in 5.